Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bottom Flat Podcast, where we talk about gaming, computers, and everything technology. As always, I am here with my co-host Acidic,
Hey guys.
and we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about our sort of technology ideas that. I don't know if anybody's thought of mine, and I don't know if anybody has thought of yours, but I figured we would just bounce off of each other every now and then. I got my freaking Oreos with me. I left my Monster out in the living room. Damn it.
Right, dude, I have some lukewarm hot cocoa that it's kind of just the bottom like chocolate that kind of solidified. So yeah, I'm gonna down the rest of that real quick, dude.
All right, in post productions, cut this out. I gotta go get my drinks. I'll be back. Right. I got my drinks. Okay. All right. So yeah.
Dude, I have a pitcher of water and a glass with some ice. I'm like set.
Hell yeah. Okay, so who the heck is gonna start out with this
That would be
podcast?
you.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was actually thinking about this while I was at work, right? Because I go to the bank a lot. And I also like hacking, you know? Holy shit, dude, I'm out of breath, dude. I ran back to my room.
Since trying to record a podcast.
Oh shit. But yeah, my first idea was private banking networks. And that might sound common like right now, but my idea is like you basically have your own. So you know how Huntington Bank is like their own private banking system, right?
Yeah, I use it. It's pretty nice.
And my idea was like what amount of security would you have if you had your own version of that? Like when you create your bank account, you create your own network, like maybe within your family or with friends, if you dare share a banking network with your friends.
Yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't.
But
Some of our friends.
point being is like what amount of security would you have? Like you just open this, like you basically buy a portion of your own banking network, kind of like Huntington does, and you like what amount of security would you have? I wonder.
Okay, so for me,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have any app or anything. I would have it all be hard copies in cash.
Hard copies in cash? You really think so? So you wouldn't
Yeah.
do like a you wouldn't do like an ATM card. You wouldn't have like any ATM activity or anything like that because then it's not really private. If you're using an ATM card for an ATM or accessing an ATM through a third party network, then it's not necessarily private, is it?
No.
No. So
Especially
like
because if you cash in the ATM, then the cash gets redistributed.
yeah. But then
So
like how I wonder cuz it would all have to be digital or over the web.
you want it to be digital.
Yeah. So like
Oh,
a private banking network over the web. Like even if you're like within your family like I said earlier or even just yourself. Like that would be super highly secure if you just had your own network all to yourself. You basically just had this mini Huntington Bank set aside for your own financial needs, you know?
I'm still thinking about ways to access it. So, have you ever heard of a rubber ducky?
No.
So it looks like a flash drive, but you can program it so when you plug it into like a USB,
Mhm.
then
Wait,
it
you
can
plug it into a
type,
oh, you mean a USB port.
yeah,
Gotcha.
and it types out a whole string of code, right, or of passwords or whatever. Some
Yeah.
people use it quick hack a computer.
Yeah.
Well, the old ones, it doesn't really do that anymore because you get like locked down and stuff. But it types out a string, and then when it's done, it just turns off.
That's
So
pretty cool.
I wonder if you could use that as a key.
I wonder if you could just, if they, or you, because it's a private, if you could just have, you could just integrate that entire area of like that sort of technology and just have that be your key. Like when you buy your network interface,
And you get
you
a
get,
little flash drive key thing that you have
yeah,
to
you
plug in
just
and
get a key. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that'd be really neat. I
Yeah.
know I think Windows actually has a thing. I don't know. I haven't messed around with Windows. I'm more of a Linux user, but I think Windows has a key thing to where. Here, I'm gonna look right now.
Yeah, we'll on the subject of like what user face like interfaces we use. We'll do like an introductory like a short introductory video for the podcast as well. We probably should have started out with that. Now that I in hindsight we probably should have done that, but
It,
we'll be sure to get it out at some point.
or I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a sign-in security key, like a physical key that
Really?
you can set up. Yeah,
That's awesome. But then here's the thing though. If you were to get a key, who would you get the key from? Because
I
if it's private, how would you get the key from someone else that has access to your network? Is the thing.
you would have to like talk to that person.
See, but someone would have to create your private network. Would they have to be like put on a contract or something like that? Like a legal contract that they can't mess around with your account?
Probably.
Because someone would have to, like, I mean, you do all the customizations and stuff of your network, but like you would have to do all of the, you know, all of the like you would do the customization, but they would do like the security features maybe a tiny bit and like give you like access to all of it, but only you can change the settings, you know?
Yeah. No, but then what if you lose that key? Or what if somebody steals that key from you? Ooh.
I feel like it would be the sort, you know how with credit cards, if you lose your credit card and you call the credit card company, they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll take care of it," and they cancel it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they can't use the credit card anywhere, and if it is used, they can like pinpoint it pretty much.
Mhm.
I feel like it would be like that.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, you have an app on your phone to like turn off the key so that it no longer works with.
Yeah. Like you have an app on your phone that kind of does like the security monitoring of your own account and network and stuff, and if your key is lost or stolen or something, you can like GPS it or even like just cancel it or both.
Yeah.
You know how Avast has like these different shields that you can turn on and off and stuff?
Yeah.
I feel like it would be like that where you would have the switches, like you could switch on tracking or switch off tracking and stuff like that. You would have your own like interface. I also feel like you would only have access to the app if you've purchased a network.
Yeah.
So
That's
the
another touch.
only way you would be able to even get this from like the Google like Play Store or the App Store or anything like that would be to buy a network. Because maybe you could get the app, but you couldn't access any of the features if you didn't have like a pin code or something like that. You know?
Also, what if on this little USB key, what if you had a thumbprint scanner? Because Huntington Bank, they have a fingerprint scanner.
They do actually.
Yeah,
I was not aware of this. That's cool as shit.
yeah,
On the thumb drive, you would have the So it's like a little adapter, do you mean? Like on the outside of it?
Yeah, y'all.
That would be even more secure, make it harder for people to access it even if they do steal it.
Yeah, but still have the lockdown thing because you always want to fail
Oh
safe.
yeah. There could be like a two-factor authentication sort of thing you
Yeah,
could also integrate into the flash drive as well.
yeah.
I
Basically,
feel I feel like this could be, if someone really tried, this could be a now thing.
yeah.
What was the dilemma over? It was something about like having to pay to browse or something like that. It was like a year ago, I think, or maybe not even that.
Oh, the net neutrality thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Net neutrality. That was a thing. How long ago was that? I want to say it was
That
like a
was like
year ago.
that was a year or two ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
so Wikipedia like blacked out their whole website because you would have to pay more to get faster
That
connection.
didn't go
So
very, that was that activated at any point? We're kind of going off
no,
subject here, but I'm like genuinely curious.
no. So hold on. I think they actually did it. I think they blacked out their all of their pages.
Was it just Wikipedia though? I think it
I don't
was.
know.
Cuz not very many websites actually partaked or partaked uh like did that. I don't think.
Hold on. I'm trying to look right now. Yeah, they called it the Battle of the Net.
Yeah, a lot of people weren't very happy with that actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my little uh invention sort of technology idea. I think that could really be a thing if somebody really took the time and effort to manage that and actually get it going. I feel like that could be a 2019 2020 thing.
It could be probably.
But yeah. What's your you I was told you have a list as well. So let's
So
move
I
over
made one.
to
I
yours.
kind of made it the wrong thing. I was going to talk about Raspberry Pi stuff. So, hacking. Hacking's really fun
I agree.
to like, or so I've heard. I don't know. I haven't gotten into it that much yet, but a lot of people do Wi-Fi hacking,
Uh-huh.
which is like spoof a Wi-Fi
Yeah,
and
it's
pretend to be Wi-Fi.
I've done that, but it was during the like my cringy like I don't remember if it was middle school or like even like late middle school, early high school. But I did most of that when I was on PS3 jailbreak.
Yeah, you
The
told me
Wi-Fi
about that.
hacking stuff like DDoS, uh, IP spoofing.
Dude, I was
Uh,
talking about like, going to Starbucks and like taking over the network sort of thing.
yeah, yeah.
No, so that got me thinking about how I wonder how safe my internet connection is. I know that yours is probably really safe, but like
My
nudge, nudge, wink, wink. So I don't think we have that many like truly safe internet providers and routers and stuff. And
because
from what
they're
I've
so open.
yeah,
They're so easy to. Have you ever heard of CCAPI?
I have not. What is that?
Okay, so CCAPI is the connection software that goes from your computer to your console. For example, it goes from my PC to my jailbreak PS3. But I wonder because the CCAPI application connects to the IP address that's connected to my PS3, but it's the console IP that's being connected through my Wi-Fi. So I wonder if it would be that easy to make another application like that you could be 2 3 miles away from somebody's house and be like, oh yeah, let's hack this this house right here. You know?
So, talking about extenders and things, um, did you know that people have made insanely long Wi-Fi antennas?
Uh, like like
Like I'm talking like
how long we talking here?
I'm talking like 10-foot tall tridents of death that can just span all the networks in like a 5 block.
That's
Dude,
crazy.
it's a thing, and then people can look through all of the security and stuff. And
You
then
mean
and then there's
like they have to? What do you mean by that?
they can so oh geez, I really should have made a list. So
A list.
yeah, I should have made a better list. So like you ever have your neighbor's Wi-Fi come up on your PC?
All the time. Well, I
So
mean,
they would
not necessarily here, but at the other house, yeah, definitely.
yeah. So it'd be like that only for everybody.
Dude, the amount of hacking potential. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh. I would feel so unsecure if I knew that my neighbor 3 blocks down had access to my Wi-Fi if he really wanted to.
yeah, that'd be scary.
Yeah.
Something even scarier, tying back to Raspberry Pi stuff again, is somebody used Kali Linux
Uh-huh.
and they plugged in a USB Wi-Fi thing, but it was specifically designed to make a map with like IPs and
Uh-huh.
scan as you're driving your car. So you
Oh
plug
my
in this
god.
Raspberry Pi and you go drive around and go all down the streets, and it makes a map.
That is
Security.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's crazy. So what you're saying is you could go back to your say your PC, plug the USB in, and then it would draw it out or something
yeah.
like
So
that?
yeah, it would store all of the data, and
So like
then
this IP came from this location, this IP came from this location, and there's just like a
yeah,
list. That's insane.
yeah.
That's crazy. Is that the video that you sent me earlier?
It might have. Hold on.
Because I remember you sent me a video in a
I
text earlier
sent.
before I started work.
Oh no, that was ethical hacking on
What
Raspberry
is
Pi.
the explain that to me? I haven't watched the video yet.
Okay, so that guy talked about using Kali Linux, which Kali Linux, right?
Uh huh.
Heard me say this thing twice. Kali Linux is a Linux distro specifically designed for ethical hacking.
Define ethical hacking.
Hacking your friends and family's Wi-Fi to draw awareness about security, for instance. Except
Awesome.
for a lot of people don't use it that way.
I can't imagine.
Right. So it has many tools pre-installed
Mhm.
to help with Wi-Fi spoofing. Um, oh geez, I saw a video a while back about a guy that I'm gonna bring up Starbucks again. It's all tying back together. This guy hacked a Starbucks Wi-Fi using a Raspberry Pi and Kali Linux, and
But to do what? Like of what? Why?
controlled everybody's internet traffic
So
and monitored.
basically, he's just monitoring everybody's activity through thin air.
Kinda, yeah.
Pretty
But
much.
so if also, oh geez, so you ever heard somebody say don't save your passwords in Google?
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Humor me.
So there's two main reasons that I can think of. One being if somebody hacks your Google account, then they have all your passwords.
Then there's literally a list of passwords that you've used on
You cut
every
out.
site.
Yeah. And then the other one is if you auto sign in to a website, then somebody that's monitoring that traffic can see your password.
Yeah. Like
So
even like it's basically a so what you're saying is it's basically a data log of
yeah,
so like of what you've been doing like I don't know. Acidic was on Discord at this time. Acidic was on I don't know, Google at this time.
y'all.
Acidic connected. I wonder if you could spider web through different networks through uh like display hacking. Like
Mm,
you mentioned like if you're monitoring traffic through thin air and the person you're monitoring connects to a different address and that address is listed, you could connect to that address through the traffic that you're monitoring. You
all
kind
right,
of know
you're
what
thinking like
you
steps
know.
ahead of me. I have no idea what you're saying. What?
So, okay, let me for example, TeamViewer. Do you know what TeamViewer is?
Yes.
Okay, so take TeamViewer, make it larger scale and way less secure. Like you can like if you're already to the point where you're monitoring data traffic and you have all the list of like let's say somebody's iPhone let's use the Starbucks as an example again. You're at a Starbucks, you're monitoring the data traffic and you want to see something like that's kind of suspicious or anything for like security reasons or whatever, and this iPhone connects to a suspicious website. You follow me?
Right. Yeah.
And so you're like, wow, that's weird. Like, I want to check that out. Could you? I wonder. I'm gonna say it again. Like, the data log says that this so and so's iPhone connects to this website, and you would have information about that website because of the data traffic that from this iPhone. And then you could connect. I wonder if you could connect to that website through so and so's phone because of the data log.
And then just steal all their crap that way?
Yeah.
Probably. I'm sure that somebody's done it.
You know how cuz like TeamViewer, you can steal so many things from someone's computer using TeamViewer.
Yeah. Oh, geez. TeamViewer. Have you seen all those videos of people that, or of the company, the fake Microsoft people that,
Oh, the tech advisors that like call them up and use TeamViewer and then they use like a CPM or something like that and they use they use what is it called? Virtual machines or something like that.
yeah,
So they
use
can't
virtual,
actually do anything. And they
yeah,
try
they
doing
mess with
something and
the,
they're like, "Hey, what you doing there, bud?"
yeah, so 3 a.m. watching YouTube, right? Kind of, you get into those videos. I
Relatable.
saw, I watched, I watched at least 7 videos on guys that would call those guys up, right? I have a virus on my computer, and then it would be on like Windows XP, right, or Windows 7, some really outdated Windows
Uh-huh.
version, like 32-bit, and then they would activate a virus on that computer, like extreme viral infection, sort of like destroying everything that's going on. You can't access settings. You can't.
Right.
Yeah, and so people would call up the virus guys and then watch them freak out trying to like kind of fix the computer, also kind of steal crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, while chaos is going down.
Mhm.
Yeah, those were fun.
So I have another sort of I guess this is a security thing, kinda. But smart homes.
Oh, geez, that was my next topic. All right, go
Was
ahead.
it actually?
Yeah, I was gonna talk about how it's like if somebody gets your Amazon password, they have your
Yeah.
Amazon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we can like really bounce off of each other a little bit here on
Mm-hmm.
this subject. I was thinking because since like Google Home, for example, is basically an AI. If you don't know, Google Home can, I mean, do literally almost anything. Like
Yeah.
turn on the TV, turn on the lights, like activate heaters, like all of this different types of stuff. But I wonder if at one point they'll just make a house that is built around this sort of bubble of an AI.
Yeah. Like kind
But
of a
I
thing.
yeah, like an Amazon Alexa or like a Google Home, but this Amazon Alexa or Google Home is your house. Like it is literally everywhere. But then again, that's where the security thing comes in. How do you know who's accessing it? How do you know somebody else isn't? I know that it's a controversial subject even today, but how do you know, like, is somebody else listening to you? Would you have your own private, like a PN or something like that or something? I don't know. But I was thinking about that as well.
Dude, I don't know, but it makes me want to unplug my Echo device. I want to
It
say,
makes me want to go over to my dresser and throw my Alexa out the window.
yeah, especially the camera kind of blowed up. Yeah. No, so somebody told me about
FBI just my my Alexa goes ding. FBI just goes, yeah, I'm listening. Like, what's up?
hello. Um,
Oh, this
somebody
is the
told
wrong
me
house.
about somebody used a laser to issue Alexa commands.
Really?
Oh crap! I said the A word. So yeah, so they would use the laser and it would blink on and off and you know display code
That's pretty. That's pretty
to the
whack.
Alexa device far away and make it do things. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up.
But like
All right.
back to the smart homes thing,
Yeah.
the more of a security sort of ideal, because you would also have internet, and your internet will most likely be connected to your home, and your home will most likely be connected to your lights, your car, your phone, your laptop. Like it could be connected to literally anything. The Internet of Things, if you don't know what that is, that's pretty much what it
Oh,
is.
Cortana, is that you?
I can learn to understand you.
Oh, yeah.
I can learn to
Cortana.
understand you.
I can learn to understand.
I can learn to
I
understand
can
you.
learn to
Yeah.
understand you much better if I can.
No, I turned off Cortana because I've heard ghost stories of Cortana, being just complete crap. And
You heard ghost stories about Cortana being shit, pretty much. Is what
yeah,
you're telling me.
there's a dark and stormy night, and Cortana's just over here like I can learn to understand you. So no, so I'm super worried about getting a virus because those are just I know that it doesn't matter much, and I don't actually have that much information on my PC. But
Right.
viruses, I've seen people trying to get rid of viruses, and it's just such a frustrating process.
Yeah. I feel that.
And I've got an ad blocker, and I'm using a DNS right now, and all of that stuff. But like, I'd still just rather use Linux. And
That whole Microsoft versus Linux thing is most definitely going to be a subject that is completely going to unravel itself into its own episode, I feel like.
yeah, not to spark you on, but
I can learn to.
No, I feel like our conversations that we like bounce off of each other for Microsoft and Linux
I feel like those are the better
are,
conversations.
yeah, those conversations, because we both have really good, like, both of the OSs that we like to use have their flaws, obviously.
Yeah.
No application out there doesn't have a flaw somewhere. Like both of our OSs have a flaw. Both of our OSs have cons, or not
Yeah.
cons, pros.
Yeah.
And also for both OSs, our pros outweigh the cons for both Linux and Microsoft.
Y'all. And then there's that whole area of Macs and stuff, and at least we don't like Chrome OS or not. Yeah, Chrome OS, Google Chrome, those Chromebooks that you see at school.
Oh yeah, yeah. Chrome OS I feel like is only for. I don't think you can boot Chrome OS from a PC, can you?
Oh, so
Imagine
you
playing
can
CS on a Chromebook,
yeah.
15 frames a second with like 250 ping.
Oh, hey, that's my dog.
I was about to say somebody wants to join the podcast.
No, she is staying downstairs. I mean upstairs. We're in the bottom flat. Um, wonder if I cover my microphone, will it like? No, you can definitely still hear them. That's great. I
That's
love
fine.
that. Love it. What was I talking about? Chrome OS.
Yeah.
So you can boot anything onto anything if you want to. People, Linus Tech Tips did a video where he did like Ubuntu, Microsoft Windows, and macOS
Microsoft.
all running off of one PC on one monitor
How do you do that?
with virtual machines, brother.
Oh, that's very true. Also, Linus
Yeah.
Tech Tips, if you guys ever have like any tech questions or anything like that, that is the YouTuber to go to, I feel like. Cuz I've gone to that channel for so many like even gaming related stuff and just pure technology questions. So I'll leave that a link to Linus Tech Tips in the description because those videos have answered a lot of my questions. I don't know about you, Gavin,
and
but
provided a lot of entertainment as well.
yeah, that's very true. Funny guy.
Yeah.
I feel like actually that's a subject for another day. Back to what were we talking about? OSs?
Yeah.
Did you have anything else on your list?
On my list,
Yeah.
I was going to talk about VPNs.
Oh, that's a really good one. Shoot.
All right, so VPNs are one of those things that it's starting to become a must-have. You hear,
I
NordVPN
definitely
on
agree with you.
everything, and they're all great. Everybody uses them on your phone, right?
I have a short story about that actually.
Yeah?
If I may, really quick.
All right, go
And
ahead.
I'll let you continue. So the other day, I was with you guys may or may not know of. We haven't really played any games with them yet, and that needs to change. But Hydro Yeet
Yeah.
or just
let's call them Python.
Python. So Python. I was with Python at school, and I was trying to download a game to be able to play with them, and I was over the school Wi-Fi, and I had a VPN downloaded onto my phone, but it wasn't active at the time, and I was trying to download it, and it just would not download for anything, and I was like, well, it's the school Wi-Fi, they probably have it blocked. But then I was thinking, why would they block the App Store? Why would they block because Google Classroom is also run through the App Store, but that's not blocked or anything like that. I could download that just fine. So I went and talked to the librarian about it, and she's like, do you have a VPN on your... Because everybody knows that everybody in the school has a VPN of some sort to
Right,
bypass...
there's nothing you guys can do anything about it, right?
Right.
It's all these different protocols, all these different...
Exactly.
chasing IP.
But
They
I
can't block.
learned... Yeah. And I learned that even if you have a VPN configuration in your settings, the school Wi-Fi will not tolerate any downloads, uploads, or sometimes even traffic with like apps that aren't or apps that aren't blocked by the firewall, the school firewall.
Really?
Yeah. I was also very shocked. Like, even if you have one downloaded and there's a configuration profile in your settings, I had to straight up delete my VPN. Granted, I deleted the VPN and everything was fine. It downloaded it, then I re-downloaded it and activated it, and everything was fine. But just the sole fact that I couldn't download something over the Wi-Fi without having to like completely rid of it, like the configuration profile, I had to turn off my phone all the way, not just lock it. It was crazy to me.
Yeah, and then all right, so my thing with the IT guys and VPNs and trying to block internet traffic, there's so many VPNs out there and apps. I've got 5 on my phone. I just counted. I've got 5. There's no way that you're going to be able to block all of those.
Every single one of them. Yeah, I know what you mean.
There's always going to be at least 2 that work.
Yep.
Or at least that's what I'm hoping on.
And not only that, but there's also going to be more coming out.
Yeah.
And because they're new, it's going to be that much harder to find a way to block them.
Yup.
So
at the point where you're fighting a losing battle and there's no hope of winning, why are you still fighting?
right.
Pull a
Exactly.
General E. Lee and surrender
Generally.
to General Grant.
Mhm.
And I don't know, it angers me when I'm trying to access a website or I'm trying to text someone and it's just not going through. And I know that it's not like too slow because I just downloaded something like
Right.
10 years ago. It can't have slowed down that much by then with all of these people using it, but it's just they try to block stuff and it's not going to work. It's going to work some of the time, but that's not good enough.
Some of the time might be like, I remember, this is another little short story. I was teaching, I met a senior in my econ class in, I think it was maybe freshman year. And that was when I was PS3 hacking and stuff and doing Wi-Fi hacking, like the really easy shit. And he, yeah, and all that. Yeah. And he was like, "Wow, how do you do that?" And the first thing I taught him how to do was IP geolocate. And he snapped into that. Like, he was like, "Yeah, I got it." And he even showed me that he could do it after one day of teaching him. I was like, "Oh, holy shit, he can like actually pick onto things." And the next thing that
it's not like it's an econ class or anything.
yeah. And then the next thing that I taught him how to do, you want to take a guess?
What is it?
I taught him how to DDoS.
Yikes.
And for those of you listening that don't know what DDoS is, DDoS stands for Distributed Denial of Service. Basically, what that means is you're sending so many packets of information to a router that it can't handle it, and it shuts down. It's taking in too much information, and it might not even be valuable information. It can just be like junk information that nobody else has any use to. And
it's the computer equivalent of having too many people talking to you at once and your brain just shuts down and you freak out.
Exactly. That's a very, very good analogy. And the router shuts down. Sometimes the Wi-Fi just straight up disconnects on everything. And I taught him how to do that.
Or it just slows down so much that it doesn't
doesn't work. Yeah. So I taught him how to do that, and he also just caught on just like that in a day. He was like, "Yep, I did it to a friend who was being an ass." And he even showed me the proof of everything and of his internet slowing down and everything. And I was like, the internet here is not very secure, and I have the IP to it. Should we do it?
No.
And
the answer is no.
No.
That's a bad idea.
But here's the thing. He was like, "Man, I don't know. We could get like easily caught." So I went to talk to. I'm trying to think of a name that you'll know him by. Without saying his actual name. I talked to somebody else, Florida man.
You could have said freely.
Freely, yeah, Freely. And
Yeah, there you go.
Freely is one of our good friends that moved to Florida. That's why we call him Florida man. But I went to talk to him. I was like, "Hey, is this a good idea to do?" And is this a good idea? And he goes, "For purposes of sending a message, absolutely." So I was like, "Well, yeah, shit, that's what we want to do." So I went back and talked to my friend in econ, and I was like, "Let's just do it. Let's just do it." And he was like, "Sweet." So we did it off of our phones at first. We disconnected from the Wi-Fi, and because we still had the IP in our notes, and we sent the attack. I think we had the attack going for the entire hour, and it was the last hour of the day. So it was going for an easy hour and 15 minutes. And I don't know if you remember, but the the student Wi-Fi was shut down for a week. Do you remember that?
Freshman year.
Yep.
That was you.
I'm not even joking. That was me, and let's just call him Jack. That might be his real name. That might not be his real name.
Dude.
I kid you not. That was
You didn't
us.
get caught either.
No, we did not.
You're off
Which
your
is
cellular.
ridiculously stupid. Like if they're blocking VPNs, they couldn't track down two little DDoS attacks. Like that
Yeah.
seems so simple to me.
No, so
But no, that
that's
was us. That whole reason why that student Wi-Fi was shut down that entire week was because two kids in their econ class thought it was stupid that the student Wi-Fi wasn't very good all around the school. So we attacked it virtually, and it worked. It was much better the next time they booted it up.
jeez, dude.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't have any stories like that, but that's there's a lot of security people that work against DDoSing, and there's a lot of programs that you can run, and
There are people that get paid to DDoS companies to stress test
Yeah.
them, yeah?
yup,
Yeah. There's a lot of websites out there that you can use as well.
but they have a whole bunch of servers, and
They have
they
I'm
do it-
almost I'm almost
have a website.
guaranteed that they have a server that's dedicated for stress testing. Like it has everything that's like the same on it, but it's for security. Like they just do it on a complete different server so that they can just not attack the actual thing. I don't
Yeah.
think security officers or anything like that would be that stupid. But then again, there are the IT people at our school.
No, so oh geez, I just forgot what I was gonna say. It was gonna be something about
You were talking about
so
yeah.
people tying back and discovering who was doing the cyber attacks. So there's offensive defense when it comes to hacking. So when somebody tries to hack you, you get their IP or whatever.
A counterattack.
Yeah, a counterattack. And so you try to, as soon as that gateway opens, you send as many soldiers as you can through to do as much damage before they can do anything.
Yep.
So you kill them before they have a chance to do anything. And that might be as simple as, getting their IP or their MAC address, or as soon as you get their MAC address, you can find out what device it was, and as soon as you can get what device it was, what company it's from, their company, and how that device was purchased, and then, alert the authorities and all of that. And that's how people go to jail for hacking.
But the craziest thing to me is I'll tell the story in a little bit, but I've only gotten in trouble for hacking once. And
Yeah?
like I said, I'll tell that story in a little bit. But I forgot where I was going with this. Oh, it's scary how easy it is to do what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like people always freak out about like oh that he's a hacker, dude. He's got to be like super smart. In reality, you could go and watch a 10-minute video and learn how to do everything we've just talked about in a matter of a couple of days.
Yup.
That sounds like a long time, 48 hours, but in reality, to do all of that damage, that amount of damage, and just learn it in 2 days is insane. I learned it. I was trying to take a bulk of information. I was learning it from somebody else. So for me, it took like a week, but still,
Yeah.
that's crazy to me.
And then I'm gonna take a hard break, turn left, go right back around to VPNs.
Okay.
So I I really need a VPN for my PC, but I really don't want to sign up for a monthly subscription or
The
do those trial things and then cancel it and then make
the
a new
best
email.
one, we don't have. This is our first episode, guys. Like we don't have sponsors, so every recommendation that we say to each other is genuine. And even if we
And
did,
no affiliation, we're not getting paid for this.
no, this is we'll talk about this at the end of the podcast, but we'll talk about that stuff a little bit later. But the best VPN that I found right now that doesn't require, because before, you guys don't know, but before the podcast even started, we were having a little bit of lag issues. And I'm literally connected off the hotspot of my phone right now because my internet's like decides to shit itself every like 10 seconds in the Discord call. So
Bit of a spaz attack.
yeah, but the best VPN I found is Windescribe, and it's not even like this big VPN. Like Proton VPN is a big one that used to be free but isn't now.
NordVPN.
Yeah, that one as well. But Windescribe is just this tiny little window. You pick your location or best location, you turn it on, and you're all set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so I feel like we need more free VPNs, and I feel like we should be able to host our own VPN.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
Have a little Wi-Fi dongle or Ethernet plug-in or whatever into your router or computer and have it host its own private network.
So basically, it's not necessarily a VPN. It's basically just a PN that. Are you saying like other people can use it?
No, I'm saying, I don't know. I don't.
By the way, guys,
So-
we're gonna take a break. Like just a small, maybe like 2-minute break in about a minute. Because I need to use the restroom, and
Yeah, I'm drinking like a half a pitcher.
I need a break from talking. But we'll continue it, and we'll have more information for you guys in a little bit. But yeah, go on with what you're saying, and then when you're done finishing your thought, we'll take a tiny little break.
So I've seen a couple do-it-yourself VPNs where people, they make their own little box and they have it hosts their own private net. I said private network twice. So
Like a spoofer, pretty much.
kinda.
Huh.
I should plan out what I'm gonna say before I start saying it, right? I did a whole bunch of research, but I should really save all this for like a different episode.
So this really is a good chance to take a pause, eh?
Yeah, well, it's going all awkward and people are gonna remember this. Yeah, perfect time.
So we've hit 50 minutes
All right,
on
see
the.
you guys.
We're not gonna leave yet,
We're not gonna leave. I was gonna like mute and go to the bathroom because, dude, I gotta pee.
dude. Me too. Believe it or not. So we've hit 50 minutes. We'll cut into the next part in just a second, but we will be right back. What is up, everybody? We are back from our little break there. I believe we left off with VPNs, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so I gotta tell a little story about the only time that I've ever got in trouble Wi-Fi hacking. So, Acidic, have you ever heard of uTorrent? I'm sure you have if you've been around the hacking aura.
So, is that with the dark web, deep web, sort of?
Not necessarily. Not really. uTorrent it's kind of like, well, not kinda, it's literally pirating.
Oh, that.
uTorrent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I was fascinated with digital, because on the PS3 jailbreak you can do a digital download of a game if you have it on a disc. So if you have it on a disc, you can put it into your jailbreak and you can download the game like that. Super simple,
Yep.
right?
Right.
I decided to take the hard route and pretty much I went onto a torrenting site that had a bunch of free PS3 games for jailbreak, and I downloaded the game that way and took the giant file and plugged it into, I downloaded it using uTorrent, and if you guys didn't know, torrenting is illegal. It's against copyright.
Y'all.
And so pretty much I downloaded it and I plugged it into my PC and I downloaded it, put it in the file, all the correct folders and everything. Went over, actually like downloaded the game, worked perfectly
We don't
fine.
recommend that you do this, by the way.
No.
This is
Don't
our stories.
do
Definitely do not do any of the things that we're talking about.
Yeah, what I'm explaining right now, don't do this. You will actually get in a lot of trouble. But you will get in so much more trouble than I got into. But I downloaded the torrent. I got it on my PC, downloaded it on the PS3, like click, clack, done. And it worked perfectly fine. And then the next morning, my mom got an email from Activision. I was downloading Black Ops 2. You know who Black Ops 2 is made by?
Activision. Sorry, I had to finish my water.
Yes, Activision. And they said, hey, we got a complaint that our game was downloaded from a torrenting site and it came from this IP address. If you do this again, we're shutting down your Wi-Fi and you won't be able to use any of the tools that we've given, like your Wi-Fi. And my mom was like, what were you doing on your computer last night? What were you doing on your computer last night? And I was like, I was getting a free game. And she's like, okay, well, don't do that anymore because they said they're gonna shut down our Wi-Fi. And I was like, oh, okay, no, fine, I won't do that anymore. And she goes, by the way, who's Activision? And I was like, oh, that's what you're talking about. I was like, I thought you were like the DDoSing stuff and all that. And she's like, no, I got this email from Activision. I was like, yeah, I may or may not have pirated a freaking video game, which is stupid in hindsight. Don't do that, by the way. As rewarding as it sounds, don't do that. You could get in so much more trouble than I did. Like that, Activision basically gave us a warning. I'm lucky to have my internet today to do this podcast. But yeah, it's all about that like whole internet security thing. Like I literally downloaded it straight from the web and it worked perfectly fine. Kind of going off of that VPN thing.
No, so that leads me on to my story. So back, like, I want to say 2-3 years ago, I was messing around with emulators and playing like old NES games, right? Because my parents had both played these really old video games, and I wanted to taste.
Right.
And so I got the emulators and stuff. And so what you need, basically the game files for really old video games called ROMs.
Yep.
These ROMs are not. It's really it's a fine line between legal and illegal to download.
See,
So
that's weird to
it's
me. I'm gonna interrupt you a second because that's weird to me. On the jailbreak, there must be an emulator or something, or it must just be a thing with PS3s that you can play PS2 games and PS1 games on the PS3.
dude. So no,
But
all right,
like
back to what
back to what
I
you were
was talking.
saying. I was just
Right. So no, I was about to. Yeah. All right. So I I was reading all of these things about what you should do and what you should not do, and it's very illegal to distribute ROMs
oh,
over
of
the internet,
course.
but it's fine if you download it if you had bought the game previously in your life.
See, that confuses me because how do they know that you've bought it if you already like? What if you
Um,
had a ROM? What if you had a ROM for Metroid and they were like, "Oh, did you buy it?" And you say like, "Oh yeah, I did buy it." And they're like, "Oh, okay,
yeah, no,
sweet."
there's definitely no way to prove it unless you're like brought to court.
Yeah,
But
exactly. If you're brought into a
yeah,
courtroom,
like
they it's like, "Oh, by the way, bring your PC. We want to search it." And you'd be like, "Oh, I don't know about that."
it's it's one of those things where like you're buying a DVD that somebody had burned from like a DVD that they bought.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you can't sell it, but you can distribute it to people that you know as a gift, but you can't give it to people on the internet.
There's a copyright act that modders put in their descriptions all the time. I'm going to try to find one real quick while you keep telling your story, but they put it in their
Right.
description as a safety from copyright, but keep telling me the listeners about what you're talking about. I'm going
So
to try to
so
find it real
I
quick.
I had hooked up my mother's MacBook with an emulator. It was a really nice one too. I don't remember what it's called, but it was something with like an emo. And it had many emulators combined into one in like a really friendly format, so you didn't have to like do any terminal typing. You didn't have
Uh-huh.
to, you know, any weird UIs. You had a simple GUI, and you just kind of point and click. You know, pick your game, pick play, and then you go and you know, controller or what have you, play it. So I was like, "Hey, mom, did you ever actually have an NES?" She was like, "No." I was like, "Did your friends have an NES?" She was like, "Yes." And I was like, "Do you ever have Mario on that NES?" She was like, "Which Mario?" And I was like, "Super Mario 3, maybe?" She said, "Yeah, I think so." So I was like, "Sweet." So I downloaded it.
You made
I'm
sure that
super.
it was owned somewhere in the family so you could be like, "Oh yeah, I can do this."
Yeah, yeah. So quick, downloaded it, and then from a super shady website, by the way. And I, for whatever reason, God smiled upon me and said, "You know what? You don't get a virus." And it was all super legit too. The game worked, and I played Super Mario 3 for like a solid 3 days. Just I got to like World 8 and like tried on that world so many times. I died so many times. It wasn't even funny. Like that was my life for like a solid like weekend. Was Mario and Mario.
I found the copyright, the disclaimer thing. So
Yeah,
this is
read
what
it.
so this is what modders put underneath in their description. So they put, and this is a quote from Zirian, uh, one of his videos for GTA Online modding. But everybody puts it under, like I said before. It says copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Now, this is interesting because this makes complete sense now that I think about it. Because if you're hacking a game, it says nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. If you're hacking to have fun on your console,
Yeah, it's fine.
then it's personal use, right?
Right.
So you are protected by the copyright section 107,
Lit, dude.
which is crazy to me.
Yeah. It
And-
also varies upon some states and laws, but at least where
Yeah.
we are, it hasn't been addressed, so it's just kind of in limbo.
Yeah. We've hit
So I
105. We're going to wrap it up here in the next couple of minutes.
all right, I'm gonna finish the story real quick.
All right.
So I was like, cool. I played Mario for a couple days, and then I went back to the website and I just downloaded like all of the rest of the. Like I had games. They took up like I think it was 20 gig, not gigs, 20 megs. at
20
most.
gigs.
No, that's a lot.
That is a
Especially for,
lot of space.
no, it was like 20 megs for like a really massive game, and so I had like 500 megabyte,
Uh-huh.
you know, and so I had all of these games. You know, I got most of the ones that I wanted,
Mm-hmm.
and then I go back to the website like a week later, and the website had been taken down, and in its place was just HTML, giving a formal apology to Nintendo.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's nuts. You dodged a hella bullet, brother. You dodged a bullet.
Yeah, dude, I
Literally.
got I got all the games, and I was in and out before anything happened.
What is going on, guys? Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast, our first episode of the podcast. I kind of wanted to take this time as an outro kind of to explain why I brought this podcast idea up to Acidic and why we started doing it, and maybe just a little bit about ourselves. We're not going to take too much time for the outro, but basically the reason I wanted to start this podcast was because technology is our world now. And I feel like security and a lot of these things need to be brought to people's attention, and just kind of the knowledge and teaching of what we should and should not do in a world filled with technology. And I had this idea and I brought it to Acidic, and I was like, well, we talk about this stuff all the time for hours on end, like on the bus or on like just sitting next to each other in the lunchroom or whatever in the morning, or just texting it to each other. And I was like, hey, we should do a podcast. And he was down.
Yeah, dude.
And
This is-
just a little bit about myself. Like I said earlier in the podcast, I did a lot of internet hacking a while ago. All of it was legal, by the way. I did a little bit of... I did all internet hacking, and I did a lot of game modding on PC and PS3. I don't do any of that now most of the time. I might switch over to an account and hack on a couple of games, like just to keep my knowledge fresh, but yeah. You want to talk a little bit about yourself, Acidic?
Okay, so my really obsession with technology has been an ongoing thing. You know, back when I used to play around with Windows 7 on a really, really old PC. Probably can't even live anymore. And I recently built a PC this summer, my beautiful baby boy, and that really rekindled this whole technology era that had been going on in my mind. And you know, adept at it. And I've I wouldn't say obsessed. I definitely spent a lot of my free time doing this kind of thing and just kind of talking with corrupt, lost, whatever you want to go by. And
Doesn't matter to me.
oh crap, that's the break. I had a monologue going. And oh geez, it's not gonna come back, is it? So we like he said, we do these kind of conversations in person all the time, and not really arguments, but just kind of bouncing back and forth and having a conversation. And when he came up with the idea to have a podcast where we, kind of share our conversations with others, I was like, dude, let's do it. So anyway, that's just a little bit about why we're here, why we're doing it, and why we're probably going to continue to do it for a little bit.
If you guys have any ideas on what subject we should talk about, I get this is our first podcast and we might not get a whole lot of attention. I'm not expecting that. I don't think Acidic is necessarily expecting that either. But but if you guys have any ideas on what subjects we should do, I want this podcast to be community oriented. I want you guys to come up with, not because we're out of ideas. I'm sure we could go on about pretty much anything technology.
Oh, dude, just talk for hours.
And but I want you guys to be with us on what things you want us to talk about or explain, or even if you guys have any questions or anything like that for us, we'll try to answer them as best we can. If you guys have any questions or ideas, be sure to put them down in the comments. I know I will read the comments. I read the comments on every single one of my videos as soon as they come out. So, yeah, that's a little bit about us and why we started the podcast. If you guys want more, please hit the like button. I'm sure you hear that a lot, but it really does help us out. It shows us that you guys support the podcast and that we should keep doing this. And regardless, we're going to keep doing this.
Oh, I was talking over you, my bad. If you absolutely hated it and you don't like us and think we're annoying, you can leave a dislike. That lets us know. And leave a comment about what you didn't like so we can improve.
Yes. If you don't like the podcast or like what we're talking about, please let us know what you don't like. Like I said earlier, I want this to be community oriented. If the majority doesn't like what we're talking about and they want us to talk about something else, like technology wise, put it in the comments. Tell us what to talk about, because I guarantee you we will take it into consideration and we'll start talking about it. But that will be all for this episode of the podcast. I know I had fun. I had a ton of fun.
I had loads of fun, dude.
I love having conversations like this. This is Lost.
And this is Acidic.
And these are the kinds of conversations that we have in the bottom flat. We will see you in the next one.